Hello everyone, welcome to Learn Overflow. This is the part of the video series Workshop on Python Basics. Check in the I button for the last part as well, in case you haven't watched it yet. So let's start.
Next thing is list comprehension. Okay, for x in range 1 till 11 numbers, like you are adding each element to the list numbers. How? By x, and defining, like saying to the Python interpreter that for each x in range you are giving it is an x, and now you're telling for each x in the range 1 till 11. Okay, so wait, what we do? Okay, I need to print it here. One second. I'll just shift to the rest part below. Now look what it does. Look, the numbers array got created. Fine. Got it. Like how you did the whole thing in actually one single line. Guys, disclaimer for this part. If you're trying to do it in one liner, remember the errors will be great. Like if you do some errors, you'll just figure out how great the errors were. Okay, that's a disclaimer. And you'll just figure out if you just make some mistakes in doing one liner, you will need hours to actually figure out where you did the mistake. So personal suggestion, go for that long process, not this one liner. But yeah, one liner are good if you're trying to reduce the Python code length. Fine. Next thing again, we're saying say x in range for x in is 1 to 11. That was what we did here. Now we can do it in this manner form. For x in not range, we simply say the list. So what happened here? Say it just take each element from this list and print like put it as a x, like for x in this list, for each element will be taken and this x will be added to these numbers. Got it? Also you can say if you just store this value in some variable called list, then you can just say like for x in list or for x in some other name, and you can do in that manner. Okay, what I was telling to, let's show it. Suppose you have something called, now if you just do it in this manner, lis, this will also work for you. Fine. The next thing that comes up is this kind of assignment. Numbers equal to, you're just directly assigning. Okay, that's like normal assignment operation. The next thing, I was just trying to print out say x square. So just for x in range this and print x square. Okay, this is the normal look. Every square terms get printed out. So we'll use it here. Squares. You are assigning a squares as x into x for x in range 1 to 11. So what it does is just takes the squares. Say I just insert another cell below and add it. Add it for you. Now look, whenever we're looking at the squares, you can see it got converted into a list. Yeah, and yeah, similar way we can do here. Look, x square in range, also x square in list, then squares equal to this 1 2 to the 4, or like in multiplication form, and continuing this matter. Also squares equal to, okay, this thing. Look, I'll just replace it here so that I can show you. Fine. What happened here? Here you just assigned it in this manner. Okay, like dot dot dot. So it's an invalid syntax. Remember, that's why I just copied it and shown it to you. Now again, if I just copy it and show you, you'll see what the value is. Look, it works fine. Okay, so you cannot do something of this sort here, but you can definitely do this three processes. No problem. Okay. I think, wait. No, you cannot do it. Wait one second. This is, don't work actually. Yeah, it don't work. That was the thing. Now look, in one liner, the complexity comes. Say a odd square. You were just trying to add a form a list with odd squares. How? You're taking squares for I in range this. Then you were giving a condition that if x mod 2 not equal to 0. Okay. Look, the one liner works so good here. Look, you just formed a list with a one-liner description and given out like x square x into x, and then for x in range this, and then you just given out if x in x mod 2 equals 0. Okay, whenever this condition satisfies for x in range this, whenever this particular condition satisfies, that x square gets added to that value. Okay, so personal suggestion, avoid one-liners if you are not too good at it, and else you can try it out. Complexity, at higher complexity, you can face problems. Now, this small exercise, say list of all odd cubes. Okay, from 1 till 2197. Got it? Can you guys do list of all cubes? So list of all cubes, 2197 is okay. You can take a number. All odd cubes. So you will do this x cross x. Say x cross x, and then in range, say I'm giving it as 1 to 10, like 1 to 11, and then odd cubes. Okay. If you just print it out, you see it's odd cubes are there. Fine. This is basically the same thing. The range is given to a higher range. Okay. Remember this comprehension, like this shorthand gives you a rapid and programmatic generation of list. Okay. To get this rapid and programmatic way, remember the mistakes are also rapid. Like you can get mistakes too. So try it only when you are used to it, or as a new, like as a person who's starting with it, you can obviously try this. The next thing is the importing modules. Now, in the start, I have mentioned you something called, you remember the NumPy? I have mentioned something called pandas. I have mentioned something called Kinter. Okay, so these are actually modules in Python. This doesn't come under basic Python. Okay, so also there's a module called math. When you're trying to do mathematical operations, say factorial, say this kind of thing, are you going to again and again use a say define a function, or do it manually, or better use a function that's predefined, that save times, right? The same is the here. If you want to try out factorial in this manner, the first example, it will give an error. Why? Factorial is not defined. Now you import the math, okay, and then the math library imported, and then you just print out the factorial file. Look, it works now. So where is factorial defined? It's defined in the module math. In the math module, there's an function called factorial. Why is the math module written? It's written within Python. It's not your idea, like it's not your task to figure out where it's written. As a normal programmer, you just can find out what it does. Okay, next thing. Another way of implementing it is, well, first way we just implemented is like import math, and then you write math.factorial. Also, you can do something of that sort. From math, import factorial. Now, you don't need to write math.factorial. You simply write factorial file. It will give you the output. Okay, that's how you actually do it. Got it. So that was what I was supposed to cover in this workshop today. And
so I'm going to start off with a very nice function or a feature built in Python, which is help. So the best, if you forget about something in Python, you can just type help inside the shell and help function. And it will take you inside this interactive shell with help, and you can search for anything, like any function, any built-in functions, and it will tell you all the information about it. So for example, I'm going to type print, and it returned help on built-in function print in module built-ins. So the print function can take arguments like value and multiple values in this case. That's why there's triple dots and a separator and end, file, and flush. And all the definitions of each arguments are given here. And this is built in function that you won't get anywhere in any other languages. It's a nice one. Okay. Moving on with object-oriented programming. So Python is a object-oriented programming language, like any other language, like in Java, C++, or JavaScript, and it allows us to develop applications using object-oriented approach. So we can easily create and use classes and objects. There are some major terms and principles, that is object, class, method, inheritance, polymorphism, data abstraction, encapsulation. These are very important for object orientation. First, object. Object is an entity that has state and behavior. It may be any real world object like the mouse, keyboard, chair, table, pen, etc. Everything in Python is an object, and almost everything has attributes and methods. All functions have a built-in attribute doc, which I'm going to talk later, which returns the doc string defined in the function source code. So what does that basically mean is anything in our real life world, there everything is an object because it has some uniqueness in it. Like your shoes, they are an object because it is uniquely made for you. Not every shoe is the same, even if it's made in the machines in the factories. And your laptop, it has a unique serial number, even though if your friend has the same laptop, but the serial number is different, but the model is same. So that's object. Yes. What is a class? Class can be defined as a collection of objects. It is a logical entity that has some specific attributes and methods. For example, if you have an employee class, then it should contain an attribute and method, and an email ID, name, age, salary, etc. So class, you can take it as a mold for object. It defines what an object is. Suppose every laptop is same because it has a foldable screen and a keyboard, a trackpad. So we can say a laptop class has several laptop objects, but those laptop objects are unique from each other because like my laptop is Acer branded and your laptop may be of HP and Dell and etc. So those are unique. But you see, every laptop has the same, you can say, data, that is the brand, that is different from each other. So the attribute brand is same, but the data in it is different. So that what defines an object and a class. And why do we need this object-oriented programming? Because in procedural programming that you were just doing, that only contains a set of instructions and it just performs it. But with object orientation, you can solve real-world problems with it, with programming. Achha. What is a method? Any function that is associated with an object, it is called a method. So in Java, every function is called method because it is a class-oriented programming language. So if a function is inside a class, you can call it a method or an object. Okay. In Python, a method is not unique to class instances. Any object type can have methods. Okay. What is inheritance? Inheritance is also a principle in object-oriented programming, which is that you can inherit another class. Suppose your dad has a job, and when your dad gets old, you inherit his job. That is sometimes called nepotism in Bollywood. So that is what is inheritance. You can inherit everything from that class and use it in your subclass. This is the definition. Inheritance is the most important aspect of object-oriented programming, which simulates the real-world concept of inheritance. It specifies that the child object acquires all the properties and behaviors of the parent object. By using inheritance, we can create a class which uses all the properties and behavior of another class. The new class is known as a derived class or child class, and one whose properties are acquired is known as a base class or parent class. It provides reusability of the code.
So we have a question.
Okay.
So in Python, everything is an object. Someone is asking.
Yes, like you were using list. So when you are making a list, and in Python programming language, it is built in. So it is behind the scenes. You really don't know about that. But when you use list.append, append is a method of class list. So that's how you can use. So whenever you are creating a list, it is a class. It is creating an object from the class list in Python. Okay. So is that clear? Ronak M. Please respond with a yes, so I can continue. Or never mind. So it provides reusability of the code. How? The classes can be modular, so we can decide when we want to use it or not. And we can just write it once and use it anywhere in our program. That is reusability for us. So there's another principle, polymorphism, which contains two words, poly and morphs. Poly means many and morphs means form, shape. By polymorphism, we understand that one task can be performed in different ways. For example, if you have a class animal and all animals speak, but they speak differently. Here the speak behavior is polymorphic in the sense and depends on the animal.o. The abstract animal concept does not actually speak, but specific animals like dogs and cats have a concrete implementation of the action speak. Okay. Encapsulation is also important aspect of object-oriented programming. It is used to restrict access to methods and variables. So if you want to keep things private in a class and don't want to give access to others, like you have passwords, so you can restrict the access to the password in a class. Okay, so nobody can modify it later. In encapsulation, code and data wrapped together within a single unit from being modified by accident. Okay, data as abstraction and encapsulation are both often used as synonyms, but both are nearly synonym because data abstraction is achieved through encapsulation. Abstraction is used to hide internal details like passwords and show only functionalities. Abstracting something means to give names to things so that the name captures the core of what a function or a whole program does. That's it for the definitions. Now I'm going to jump to some programming. Okay. Okay, so here I have my editor and I'm using VS Code. You can use anything. I'm going to create a new file, main.py, and just a simple class. We can name it animal.
Increase the font size. I think it won't
Okay.
be visible to all. Yep.
Okay. So name, we can give it a name, something. So this is a class animal, and I just gave it an attribute of name, which is lion. Okay. So I can just print animal. You can see here the output is lion. This is a simple example of class, the very basic, the very fundamental, but to apply it in our real programs, we have to modify it a bit. So I'm going to start with animal, and there is another thing in classes, that is constructor. So every time an object is created from a new class, so the constructor constructs the object with the instructions that it has. So init function defines the constructor, and it contains a built-in parameter which is self. I'm going to tell you what it is. So I'm going to take the name of the animal. Okay, and anything else should I include? Respond me in the chat. What should an animal have? Should have an attribute. Mhm. How's the animal name working? Don't we have to create an object of the animal class? In this case, no. We are that I assign the value to animal, that line. I'm going to show how to create an object from the class. Okay, that was very fundamental. Chitram Dasgupta. Okay, fonts. Anything else? Let's say color
Just
tail.
give it an age.
Age. Age matters. So now I'm going to declare some member functions. So member of class animal. Okay. So whenever I'm going to create the object of animal, I'm going to give it some data, name, horns, tail, and age. Okay. So it will create the object according to that. So the member functions are declared like this: self dot name. You can give it anything, just animal name. Okay. Whenever you are going to access something from the object, you are going to access the animal name, not the name. Name is passed from the, when you are creating the object, it is passed from that, and then you are going to assign that name to animal name. And self dot animal name means that animal name attribute is that member attribute of that class. Okay. So name self dot horns equals to horns. Tail equals to tails. Self dot age equals to. So both the variable that I'm passing and the variable that it is self dot variable, both are different. Okay. Don't be confused by the names. You can keep you are always going to access the left side of the variables when you're going to access from the objects. Okay. So now I'm going to create an object, lion equals to animal. Going to give it a name, Sheru, no, Bagi. What's lion in Hindi? Respond me in the chats.
Share.
So let's give it a name, Sheru. Horns are, we can keep it a Boolean value. So if it has horns or not. Horns false. Tail true. Age, what should be the age of lion? Respond me in the chats. Fast. 5, okay. 5 months, years, dates, nothing, doesn't matter. Let's keep it a number. So right now we created lion, which is an object of class animal. So how we are going to print it? Let's see. We can print lion dot animal name. This should work. You can see here that Sheru. Nice. Now I can put some conditions. Not conditions. I'm going to put some methods in our class. So def method can be has horns. And every time you define a new method, you're going to pass the self parameter in every method. Okay. So it can access all the variables or the attribute it has inside the class. Self dot has horns. So I can just access it from there. Wait, not has horns, only horns. So what I'm going to do is put a condition if self dot horns. Okay. If it is true, then print is animal self dot animal name has horns. Else in self dot animal name not has horns. Okay. Now we can just call it like a regular function. Has horns. Let's see. Sheru doesn't has horns. Nice. Horns tail share 5 years. No. Sad. Sad for Sheru. Let's create a buffalo. Animal. Can anyone name the buffalo in the chats? Any Jungle Book fans in here? Meanwhile, I'm just going to fill the rest of it. It has horns. Buffalo has horns, I guess. And it has a tail.
Okay, the name came in Buffy.
Buffy, okay. Nice, Titas. Nice joke. Okay. So what should be the age? Let's keep it 45.
Months. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah. Now let's print. Buffalo dot has horns.
You can just call buffalo.has-ons. It is just printing. It doesn't returns anything.
Yeah. Buffy has horns. Let's see. Okay. Now moving on. Let's do something more interesting. Okay. Now I can just create objects from the terminal, so the user can do it. I'm going to create a list of objects, which is very popular in JavaScript, array of objects, or yeah, yeah. So animal list equals to. Now this is an empty list. Okay. Now whenever a user creates an animal, it will be pushed. The object will be pushed inside the animal list. Okay. Now def create animal, and we're going to yes print animal creation. So what are the inputs that we are going to take? Which is name, horns, tail, and age. So first the name equals to star input, enter the animal's name. Next it is horns. Horns equals to input plus the animal has input age. Okay, so I've taken all the inputs and now I'm going to create.
So I don't think we have explained the input function.
Yes,
Before.
we haven't. So what input function basically does is it takes the raw input. Okay, so that's why I have put a stack. Sorry, it's call stack. It's called call stack. So first the input function will be called. Okay, so when the input function takes the input, it gives its input to the parameter of that outer function, which is in this case the name it's str string. So yeah, I was about to interrupt you out there. Okay. Sorry. So do you want to interrupt me? Still.
You were
Yeah.
already interrupted.
Yeah,
Okay.
explain that part.
Okay.
List it out.
It basically takes the raw input and then you can just convert it to your desired data type. Like I'm doing with it. The name will be taken input, then it will be converted to string, and the horns, tails will be converted to bool after taking the input, and the age after taking the input it will be converted to integer. So that's what basically input does, and input can print this sentence, and after that it will take the input, whatever the user input is. Okay. So you can just see it in the example when I run it. Okay, moving ahead. Now I'm going to create the animal, which is a new animal object. This is just a variable, and I'm going to call the animal class and pass all the variables to it, which is name, horns, tail, age. That's it. Then what I'm going to do is append the object to the animal list. So animal list dot append new animal object. That's it. So it will create a list whenever I create an animal. And then I'm just going to use recursion to call the create animal again and again. I'm going to call create and
Don't we need to stop the recursion at some point?
yeah, coming to that, we can see the program can append the objects to the animal list, but how do we just see it? How do we know it? We have to say we have to write some code to print the animal list in a manner that we can see that animal is being created and appended to the list. Okay. Create animal is done. So I'm just going to create a menu. Animal manager. So you can be a animal manager if you know how to code in Python. And print one is create animal. So these type of programs are called menu driven programs. You can just select an option and it will do it for you. To display animals. Then I'm going to take the input. And if option 1 is selected, then it will just call the create animal function.
Interrupting again.
Yes.
Input is taken nowhere, like option before it.
Which option?
Like int input enter option.
Yeah.
Before that, a variable named option is needed.
Yes. So I have to store the option, like I said. So I store the option to the option and then check the option with the condition. And then I call create animal. If option equal to, then display animals. Okay. Now I have to display the animals. Def display animals. Okay. So whenever this is called, I have to access the animal list in here. For X in or animal in animal list. Print animal dot name. Okay. So I have to access the object and the attribute which is animal name. So animal dot animal name. Then print, and I'm going to end it with a space. Okay. So then horns. In this print animal. Basically, you are prompted for runtime input. Okay. Animal dot horns. Ended with a. Okay. Let's see if it works. And print animal name. I guess this should work. Let's see if any error arises and we can just fix it according to it. Okay. Now create animal. Invalid syntax. Okay, I forgot to get the brackets. Okay. Menu should work. After that, menu. Also, please note the indentations. Okay. What happened? Now nothing is showing up because I have to call the menu function which I wrote earlier. So I have to call it now. Let's see. You can see there is a menu now. Welcome to Animal Manager. There are two options: create animal and display animal, and enter option. Let's create some animals first. So animal creation. Enter the animal's name, Sheru. Animals has horns. True. I have to input the Boolean values. If you want to take input as y or n, then you have to use if-else statements. So if the input is y, then you have to put the Boolean as true. Okay. Oh, in case of Sheru, it will be false. It has a tail, true. Okay, and enter age. It's 5. Okay, so after the animal is created, I'm returned back to the menu. So you can see that in the program, after creation of the animal, I have called the menu function. So it takes you back to the menu. Okay. So this is how recursion works. And then I can just display the animal. Let's see two. Okay. And you can see the animal name, which is Sheru, and true because it has horns. Okay. So, and this welcome to animal manager is coming because I have to put a new line after true, which I haven't. So that's a design problem. Let's create some more. Let's just fix the style and then create some more animals and display. Okay. So where is the problem? Animal name. Okay. Just going to keep it as name and then end as a new line. No. I'll just use a separator of and use multiple values like name and horns has horns. Just let and what do we have after that? Tail and age. So I'm going to write tail, then age, and it will be separated with this string. And then I'm going to write end with a new line. Okay. This seems tidy. And then I'm going to print all the details of the animal now. First the name, then I'm going to do it in one line. So the animal name will be printed first, then the animal dot what's there? Horns, tails, and age. Okay. Horns, animal dot tail, and animal dot age. That's it. And I'm going to use the same separator attribute, which is sorry parameter separator, and end it with a new line every time it prints a animal. Okay. I guess this should work. Is there anything that I'm missing? No. Okay. So I'm just going to give a new line so it looks cool. And it is very important that your program looks cool and your output looks cool, or nobody's going to look at it. Okay. Right. So let's just use the terminal now. I'm inside the animal manager. So let's create some animals. Now you can suggest me some new animals in the chat. Please do it. I'm waiting for you, guys. Suggest me an animal name.
Horse.
Horse. Okay.
Yeah.
Does your horse has horns?
No.
So it will be false. And does it has a tail?
Yes.
Okay. And what is its age?
10.
10. Whatever 10 means. Okay. Now I have got it from Shomik Chakraborty, which is leopard. Okay. Leopard. Does your leopard has horns? Shomik?
In which dimension?
Well, anything is possible in your Python programs. So your leopard can have horns in your Python program. So it will be true. And does it has a tail? Show me.
How will it balance itself then?
Okay. So true. And what will be its age? Show me. Cool. 3000. Okay. Anyone else would like to contribute to my great animal manager?
He'll say 25 though.
Okay, 25. Then it was
A dog.
oh, very loyal. Oh,
Okay.
I was supposed to enter the option. It's all right. It's not a problem. Let's do it.
And the problem is
This
that entered them all from
happened if I had done some error handling. Okay, this wouldn't have happened. I'll show you next. Let me just fast forward. Horse, false, true, intage 5, leopard. I'm doing the same mistakes.
again.
It's okay. Let me just take a chill. Great animal. Animal's name was horse. True, 5. Okay. Then it was leopard. And it had horns, true. It had tails, true. And the age was 3000. Let's keep it 3000. Now, after that, dog. Your dog has horns. Shubhankar. Hello, Shubhankar. Do you copy? Okay. So let's keep it true. And your dog doesn't have any tails, so it will be false. And what will be your dog's age? It would be
Two.
2. Okay, 2 sounds great. Fine. So I'm going to put an animal of my own, which would be hmm, hmm. Humans are also animals. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's keep it human. Yes, true. Okay. They used to have a tail, but now it's hidden. So let's keep it false, but it looks funny.
Being a wall.
And 150. Coronavirus. Yes. Now next going to be coronavirus. Okay. Everybody stay safe. Wash your hands. Does coronavirus have horns?
Yes, yes, true.
Yes, it's true. Does it have tails? I
Obsession
have
with
no.
horns. I am not getting.
False. And what's the age?
I think 2 months.
Why 2? It's March 20th. So it was discovered in December, late December. So let's keep it 4 months. Okay.
Okay, now
Let's
let's
take a
display.
look.
There are a lot of things.
So you can see from here the name, horn, tail, age. Horse, true, 5. And it was supposed to be a tabular form, but ignored my style.
Using tab space.
Yeah.
It's fine.
These are all stored in the animal list. So yeah, I just accessed it from there.
That's the end to this video. Don't forget to hit the like button. Also subscribe the channel so that you don't miss any other video. Share this video with your friends and who also want to learn Python. Thank you. Hope to see you soon in my next video as well.